after I come home from work, I'm going to work on this. And then you come home, you sit on the couch, you watch some TV, and you go, ooh, I'm too tired. I don't have the energy to do what I want to do. And then you start to procrastinate a little bit, right? And that's not because you didn't have the time to do the things you wanted to. It's just because you didn't have the energy to do it.
Hey, if you like this channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification so you know when I come out with a new video. Hi, everybody. My name is Richard L'Esperance, and I go by the name of My Man Richard. Welcome to A Better Lifestyle. Today's topic, we're going to talk about productivity, and I have a productivity expert with me. His name is Thanh Pham. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right.
Yeah, that is correct. Thank you for having me here today.
Okay, no problem. So, Thanh, give us a brief resume of who you are. Let's say about 2 minutes, and we'll jump right into the topic.
Absolutely. I'm honored to be here. My name is Thanh Pham. I'm the founder and CEO of Asian Efficiency, which is one of the leading productivity companies in the world, where we help people become more productive at work and in life. And I started this business back in 2011. It's been a long time now, and it started purely as a passion project. I just want to share with people what I've learned about productivity, goal setting, time management, and it was just something I did for free. And after about a year, people started to discover my website, and they really liked the content and started asking me for help, for coaching, for consulting. And I accidentally turned it into a business that it is today. And so now we've helped over 16,000 clients all over the world. I give keynotes all over the world on time management, productivity, efficiency, being organized. And I've been featured in Forbes, Fast Company, The Globe and Mail, Inc. magazine. And I'm still very passionate today about productivity and helping people live their best life possible.
Wow, congratulations. Congratulations. So my first question, I'm going to start with, so how does someone become productive with in this chaotic lifestyle that we're living? Like everybody's trying to maintain work life and balance. So how does someone become productive?
So there's a framework that I've developed over the years that took me over 10 years to kind of figure out. And it's called the T framework, which stands for time, energy, and attention. And they form the three pillars of productivity. So everyone wants to have more time, they want to have more energy, and they want to have more attention or focus. And so when someone is not feeling as productive as they would like to be, it's oftentimes they're missing one of the three. They're lacking time, they maybe don't have enough energy, or maybe they're not focused enough. And so when I'm working with someone, that's the first thing I'm always looking for is which of the three pillars are they lacking the most? And oftentimes if we address that first, then oftentimes everything else kind of fills in around it. So if someone comes to me, typically they come to me because they don't have enough time in a day. They want to do a lot of different things, they have big ideas, they have visions, they have goals that they want to accomplish, but they just don't have any time. They're working all the time and their schedule is very busy. They're packed, with kids' activities, things they have to do at work, hobbies and other things. And so they always wonder, like, where do I find the time to do the things I want to do? Whether it's, starting a side hustle, publishing a book, or a project that they want to take off. And so for me, it's figuring out ways, okay, how do we figure out your time aspect in your life? Like, how can we delegate things? How can we get rid of stuff on your calendar? How can we make sure we eliminate tasks that you don't have to do at all, even though you think you might have to do them? So there's a lot of things we can do to maximize time. And sometimes when people come to me, they also have the other problem, which is maybe they do have the time, but they don't have the energy. So how often have you been in a situation where you have an idea, you want to work on something, and you go, after I come home from work, I'm going to work on this. And then you come home, you sit on the couch, you watch some TV, and you go, ooh, I'm too tired. I don't have the energy to do what I want to do. And then you start to procrastinate a little bit, right? And that's not because you didn't have the time to do the things you wanted to. It's just because you didn't have the energy to do it. And so when we don't have enough energy, it's very difficult to be productive as well. And then the third aspect, which is attention, nothing pains me more than seeing somebody who has the time and energy to work on something only to find out later that they're working on the wrong thing. And that's also a huge waste of life, essentially. And so we always want to make sure we're focusing on the right thing as well.
So how does if someone is unorganized or lack of discipline, so how do you deal with that? How do you deal with someone like that?
So when someone is lacking discipline or they wish to have more willpower, oftentimes people think that they're born with it. Like, oh, that guy is really disciplined. He just has it. I don't have it. And what I've discovered is it's not whether you are born with it or not. Everyone can develop it, just like it's like a muscle. Like if you work it enough times, it will grow in capacity and in size and the strength of it as well. And it's the same thing with discipline or willpower in that sense. The more you work it, the bigger and better it becomes over time. So if you have trouble right now focusing for, let's say, doing something for 15 minutes, challenge yourself to do it for maybe for 10 minutes and do that consistently, and then do it for 15, and then do it for 20 minutes, and then 25. And you slowly work your way up to be able to focus for, let's say, an hour at a time. So it's not like you're going to make a radical transformation in one day where you become super disciplined. It's a game of inches where you win maybe once a day, like a few inches every single day. And you do that enough times over the year, where maybe at the beginning of the year, you start with maybe like focusing for 5 minutes at a time to then being able to focus to, say, an hour and a half or 2 hours at a time. And that's completely feasible by just working your way through that. Now, there's one way to, I would say, make it a little easier. And that is to say, if someone would say, okay, well, that sounds like a good idea, but I don't have, the capacity to do so. I think oftentimes people underestimate the power of their environment as well, right? So for example, if you put cookies in my home, no matter how strong my willpower is, at some point, I'm going to eat those cookies because I know where they are and I'm going to find them at some point, right? And so even though I might have the discipline and willpower to say no more often than yes, sometimes I might say yes, right? However, if I don't have those cookies at home at all, even if I want the cookies, there's just so much resistance and friction that I might have to go to the store. I might have to order it online and then wait, 2 or 3 days before it arrives. And then by that time, I don't want it anymore. So then I don't have to waste any willpower or discipline or any energy on that, right? So the way we can shape our environment is another huge aspect to productivity as well. So if we want to become more disciplined, for example, with working out more often, right? One thing we could do is, instead of going to a gym that's 30 minutes away, what if we find a gym that's maybe 5 minutes away? It's a little easier for you to get to. Or even crazier, what if you work out from home? You buy some workout equipment so you don't have to go anywhere and you have the equipment at home. So we eliminate a lot of friction that way, and that doesn't necessarily require more willpower.
So what would be like a typical work schedule for a day, like a normal day? How would someone structure a day to be productive?
So when it comes to structuring your day, I would say that everyone's time is limited, and we all know this to a degree. Excuse me. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. However, we all have to sleep. We all have to eat. We all have to commute. We'll have to spend some time with our family or significant other. So if you chop off all those hours, there's very few hours left. And then if you're working in an office, you won't have to have meetings, right? You have to have some chats with your coworkers and stuff. So if we dwindle it down, what I have found is that there's maybe like 2 or 3 hours a day when you really have the time to do the things you want to do and need to do. And so if I think about that, then we know that, okay, maybe it's unrealistic to do 20 things on my to-do list if I really only have 2 or 3 hours per day of productive time. So I always like to tell people that you should follow the rule of 3. And the rule of 3 simply means that every single day you're trying to accomplish 3 outcomes. So not 3 particular tasks, but 3 outcomes. So an outcome could be, I've written the chapter of a book, right? It could take in multiple iterations to get there, but at least you have an outcome. A task could simply mean, say, hey, I'm going to work on writing chapter number 1 of my book, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be finished. You're just writing. It still requires editing. It still requires proofreading. Whereas if I say, hey, I want to have an outcome, say I want to have chapter 1 done, then we tend to focus on all the things that need to be done around that in order to accomplish sort of the outcome that we're looking for. So I always tell people, always aim for 3 outcomes per day. And if we set the limit to ourselves, we naturally have to prioritize, because all the 20 items that are on our to-do list, we can't do them all. That's a losing game. However, we can accomplish 3 outcomes per day. And if we do that, you're a lot more productive than most other people are.
When I was listening to one of your podcasts, you were talking about different systems out there. To be productive? What are the different systems that people could use to be productive?
Yeah, so I've been doing this since 2011, and there have been a lot of systems that were invented before then, a lot of systems that have been invented afterwards. And so there are a lot of pros and cons. I think the most popular one that most people are probably familiar with is called GTD, or Getting Things Done, by David Allen. That's the book I read when I first started off. It kind of helped me learn how to adopt the system for productivity. So that's one I would also recommend for others as well. We also have our own methodology here at AE called the 25X productivity system. And really what it teaches you is 25 skills when it comes to mastering productivity. And what I've found is when I look at my most successful clients that I've had over the last decade and plus, they all have very similar habits and skills in particular. And what I've done is I kind of reverse engineered it and said, okay, of all successful clients, they all share these 25 habits and skills. And so that's one methodology that we have. There's another one called the 12-week year, which is more about the idea that goal setting is done on a 90-day basis. So you don't set goals for 1 year, but you set goals for 90 days. And the big idea behind it is that when we give ourselves a year to accomplish something, Parkinson's law says we will finish a particular task in the time that we give it. So if we tell ourselves that we're going to write a book in 1 year, it will take a whole year to write a book. But if we tell ourselves we're going to write a book in 90 days, you're going to get that book done in 90 days because you set that time limit for yourself. And so the 12-week year is very interesting and a very impactful framework and methodology as well that I think most people will enjoy.
So if someone is trying to plan 12-month goal for productivity, let's say they have 6-7 goals, how would they go about it? Because you said like to plan on the 90 days, but let's say someone really like they're focused like on a 12-month basis from January to December. How would they structure themselves?
Yeah, so personally, I'm a big fan of 90-day goals myself, just because it gives them more sense of urgency. But if someone really wanted to follow a 12-month program, what I would do is make sure that every single month has a milestone that you can track so that you know you're making progress. So for example, if we take a really simple example, let's just say at the beginning of the year, you said, you know what, I want to lose 12 pounds by the end of the year. Okay. So on January 1st, you started, let's say at 200 pounds and you want to weigh 188 by the end of the year. That's 12 pounds, right? And so a simple milestone would be if I lose 1 pound per month, then you know you're on track to accomplish your goal. That's a really simple equation and formula that I think most people will understand, right? So if we're in month 6 and we're looking at our scale and it says right now we're at 197, so we lost 3 pounds instead of 6 pounds, now we know we're 3 months behind or we're 3 pounds behind, right? So we still have 6 months to make up for it, but now we maybe have to change plans for the next 6 months to accomplish our goal of 188. Which is the 12-pound goal. And so what I'm trying to say here and to illustrate is that whatever you're setting a goal at the beginning of the year and you want to accomplish by the end of the year, make sure you have something to measure that you can track progress against. Because if you can't measure it or track progress, it's very difficult to find out like if you're ahead or if you're behind on your goal. And oftentimes what happens is, we set a goal at the beginning of the year, we're motivated. And then by January 1st, when the new year starts off, we go, oh yeah, let's go ahead and kick it off and do it. And then by February 1st, most of us have lost motivation already. And then maybe around November or December, we go, oh yeah, I set that goal for myself. Maybe I should try to get back into the game and try to do it. And then it's already too late, right? So we want to make sure we have something to look forward to and trying to accomplish every single month. And so if we look at the end and say, this is the end goal, how do we break it down so that I have something I can strive for every single month and know that you're making progress or not? And if you're not, then you have a new month moving forward to make adjustments so that every month you're making progress in some shape or form.
What do you think are the key points for key important points to be for someone to be productive?
Ooh, when it comes to productivity, I think mindset is really important. That's something I think is very underrated. And for those who don't know what that means, is basically what are your beliefs and ideas around productivity? And if you think that you cannot be productive, like you truly believe that, it doesn't matter what I tell you or what book you read about productivity or any podcast you listen to or blog posts you read, because if you don't believe it, it simply won't happen. So change happens in the mind first, and then outwardly happens as a result of that. And so mindset, I think, is really important. So when I work with someone, I want to make sure that they believe that they can actually do it. And if they can't, that's the first thing we have to address and figure out is like, how can we change your beliefs and mindsets about change, about results, about what's possible for you? And I want to make sure that people are always action oriented. So when in doubt, take action. That's something I always like to say to my clients is when in doubt, take action. If you're not sure if you should work out, you should go work out. And as everybody knows, nobody ever said to a good workout afterwards, oh, I wish I didn't work out. Like everyone feels really good after working out, right? It's the same thing with productivity. Oftentimes sometimes I have a task on my to-do list. It's been kind of there for a long time. And then I've been, procrastinating on it for 2 or 3 months. And then when I actually do it, it took maybe like 4 minutes to do. And then I go, oh my gosh, like, why didn't I do this earlier? Like, it's been there for so long. When in fact, it was so simple, right? And so when in doubt, take action. So whenever you find yourself in that situation where you're not sure what to do, just move forward. And when you're moving forward, you oftentimes find that things aren't as scary as you think they might be. So mindsets is one thing. The other thing is adopting a system like we just talked about. Instead of trying to reinvent the wheel yourself, which is something that I've been doing many, many times, because part of it is my job, is to always experiment and try new things. But for most people, they're already busy. They have a lot of stuff going on. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are already systems out there that are proven, are effective. Pick one of them, learn how to use it, and just run with it. Don't try to reinvent the wheel yourself, because it's just a waste of time. Someone else has already figured it out. Just follow their path and just walk it, and you'll find results a lot faster.
Any excuses for lack of productivity, in your opinion?
Excuses. I mean, everyone can come up with an excuse not to do something. So procrastination is an interesting topic because it can manifest in many different ways. It can manifest from a lack of energy, like if you're just tired, you're going to procrastinate. If you don't enjoy the thing you have to do, then you're going to procrastinate. Right? If you don't think it's a good use of your time, you're going to procrastinate on it. So if you're listening to this and you go, oh, I procrastinate very often, the thing you're trying to figure out is, what is the root cause of this? Why am I procrastinating on this? Now, until you figure it out, it's very difficult to address it. And so when it comes to whatever excuse you have, I always have this thing called the 3 times rule. If you say the same excuse 3 times or more, then you have to figure out what the root cause is. Sometimes, we say excuses and, we might have a valid reason for it. But if I do it 3 times in a row for the same thing, there's something underlying there that's holding me back from actually doing this. And I'm trying to figure out then is, what is it that's holding me back from doing this? And so the way to do that is to ask yourself why. Ask yourself why 5 times in a row, and you'll oftentimes find the root cause of this. So, for example, if there's a task, let's say you have to do your taxes for last year, and you go, why am I not doing this? Oh, because I don't enjoy it. Why don't I enjoy it? I'm really bad with numbers, or I don't know what to do, or I feel incompetent, or I'm not sure. Then as you start to peel back the layers, you start to figure out, okay, why am I actually procrastinating? It's this particular reason. And then we can make a decision and go, do I want to do something about this? Or my favorite solution is, can I give this to somebody else who can do it for me? And sometimes solving a problem is just a who problem. Instead of trying to figure it out doing it yourself, who can do it for you and help you with it?
What do you think makes someone successful than another person? Not successful, I mean more productive.
I don't think there's a universal metric for productivity, right? It's not like how many hours you spent working, because time is not always a reflection of output or productivity. So if someone works 5 hours on something and I work 1 hour on it, but we do the same task and we get it done faster, does it mean that one was better than the other? Not necessarily. Or if the other person spent more time, is that better? Not necessarily either, right? However, I would lean towards saying if we get the same work done in less time, that's probably more productive than the other person. And so I'm looking for effectiveness for the most part. Are people working on the right things more often than not? And my rule of thumb is if you're working on the right thing more than 50% of the time, you're probably moving forward in life. However, if you're not making the right decision more than 50% of the time, so you're going in the opposite direction, you're probably not as effective as you could be. And that's why attention is so important, hence why it's part of my T framework. And so when I look at someone and evaluate how productive they are, I'm really trying to evaluate not only their skills, right, but also are they making the right decisions most of the time? And if they are, they're probably moving forward in the right direction, regardless if they know GTD, if they know how to manage the email inbox or not. You don't have to have all these skills to be productive. As long as you're moving in the right direction, you oftentimes are more productive than others.
How can that's probably going to be my last question. How can someone take accountability for themselves in regards to productivity?
Yeah, accountability for yourself is something that you have to be very honest about. Like when you're a business owner or founder, you're accountable to yourself. You don't have a boss necessarily. There's nobody else holding you accountable for the results that you're delivering, right? When we have a job, we oftentimes have a superior or someone above us that holds us accountable. And oftentimes that forces us to do things that sometimes we don't feel like doing, but we still must do. And we oftentimes will do. But when we are our own bosses, we don't have that sense of accountability. So in that case, I always recommend that you have an accountability partner whenever you have a goal or an outcome that you're trying to accomplish. Because when you have to say to somebody that you're going to do something and they're counting on you, you're more likely to follow through, right? When I hire a personal trainer and I pay that person, I'm more likely to show up at my gym session, even though I don't feel like going, because one, I already paid for it, but two, I also don't want to disappoint this other person. So there's a sense of accountability. And when you're by yourself, you don't have that. So yes, you can rely on your own willpower or discipline, but it's, I think, very much a losing game. I think if you pay somebody or have somebody that you trust that is counting on you, hence an accountability partner, it's less reliant on your own capability, but now you're just adding an extra sense of motivation for you to do things you want to do. And so if you're a business owner, contractor, freelancer, consultant, you work on your own, self-employed, it can be very heavy on you sometimes to do everything yourself. And especially when you're wearing so many hats and roles, if you have an accountability partner that can help you with that, that's something I would always advise people to do.
What would be your last words concerning everything we talked about productivity and all?
Yeah, if you're looking to become more productive, there are tons of free resources that are out there, including my websites and podcasts. But what I would recommend people do is just find a methodology that resonates with you, a system, and just follow it. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. There's so much good information out there. Don't try to experiment yourself. That's going to be a huge waste of time. Trust me. I've worked with a lot of people who've done it. There's a lot of great systems out there already. Just pick one, follow it, learn it, and then break the rules afterwards. And you'll see that you'll be a lot more productive.
Okay. And you mentioned that I know you have your podcast. Tell us a little bit about the podcast.
Yeah, I have a podcast called The Productivity Show. You can find it at theproductivityshow.com. It's the number one productivity podcast in the world. And we have a weekly episode coming out where we share productivity tips. And also you find them on our website as well, asianefficiency.com.
Okay. And where can people find you on social media if they want to get in contact with you?
Yeah, you can just find me at Asian Efficiency on all the social media platforms, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'm everywhere nowadays, so you'll find me there. Just look for Asian Efficiency and you'll see me there.
Thanks for watching. If there's certain topics you want me to touch, feel free to let me know in the comments, and I'll try my best to make it happen. And if you like this video, please press the like button and comment. It would be very appreciated. Thanks.